We're back. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So,
Recovering. Please.
is so today we're gonna talk about um, our top two picks of the last 8 laws we reviewed. The eight laws from the 48 Laws of Power. So the last eight that we reviewed, to be exact, are Law 34 all the way to Law 41.
Right.
And we always do this every 8 laws. We try and pick our favorite out of the last eight. Um, why don't you go ahead and start? Which law did you pick out of the
Okay.
last eight being your top law?
Okay. So it was very difficult, like always, man. Um, you know, and 10 years ago, I would have picked a different law. And I know it because I have somewhere uh, one of my, what do you call these things? My budget,
Agendas?
my agendas. And I don't know, a year ago or something, I came across one that was really old. And so 10 years ago, I picked a different law. Today, I think that the most important law for me out of these last eight is Law 35, which is master the art of timing. As I've grown older, I've seen and I've realized how important timing is in many things, not just business, but in spiritual things, in love. You know, you come in with at the right time with the right dozen roses, and you get the girl. You come in at the wrong time, and the dozen roses don't have the same effect. So
Yeah.
timing for me today, out of these eight,
Yeah.
is the most important one.
The last time we did this, I think we've done it 3 times now.
By the way, we never picked the same one.
We never picked the same one. Today, we picked the same one.
Oh, really?
So for me, Law 35, also out of the last eight, I think is just, and the reason I think it's the most important one for me, it was between that one and it was between um that one and it was between think as you like but behave like others.
Not me.
Yeah, those were the two for me.
So the top three for me was despise a free lunch,
Yeah.
avoid into a great man's shoes, stepping into it, and then the art of timing. And then I knocked out. Then it was between the art of timing and despise the free lunch.
Yeah. The reason I picked the art of timing was because, like you mentioned, timing is critical. Robert Greene talks about how important it is in knowing when to jump ship, when to switch sides in life, when to push, when to be patient. Um, and that takes an extreme amount of discipline, I would say.
Oh yeah.
For me, uh, in 2020, when the pandemic came, I jumped ship from what I was doing previously. My previous career that I had been I had dedicated 7 years of my life to building a specialty in life insurance and investments. And
Actually, over 7 years.
yeah, over seven
No,
years. And and then I decided when the pandemic came, because of all the changes that were occurring, I thought it's my time to jump. And I remember getting a call. I sold my business December of 2020, and I got a call January or February of 2021
okay.
from a gentleman that I respect very much and we're friends with. And he called me and he said, "Hey, did you know that the company that we worked for was about to sell their whole life insurance division? Because it wasn't public information. Did you know that before it got to the public? Because they announced it, I think, in February of 2021." And I said, "No, I didn't know. I didn't have like intel that they were going to sell. I just," and this is what Robert Greene says, "become a detective of the right moment and sniff out the spirit of the times." And I was sniffing out the spirit of the times for more than a year already. I was kind of getting a vibe of where things were headed with the company. And so anyways, it was funny how he called me and he thought I knew ahead of time, but I didn't. I just there were signs, like you say, the writing was on the wall that things were changing not for the good, and I was able to jump. And I think a lot of people wanted to do the same thing, but they were
They
pot
couldn't.
committed. They
Hot committed,
they
right?
were so invested in it and not willing to start over, which is very difficult in
I
a
don't see how you did it
well,
because you were very successful at what you were doing.
and now it's starting from scratch,
And now starting from scratch. And
which
I,
we've
re-
been 3 years at now.
when you told me, you know, I thought you needed to, get a good doctor and have your head examined. But
Yeah,
see, I was an outsider to your game.
right.
You were an insider. You were neck deep into your business.
Oh yeah,
And it's a testament to seeing the the writing on the wall, or like you say, sniffing out the
yeah,
issues, because I didn't see the issues like you saw them, you know?
right. Yeah, you have to sniff them out. You have to be paying attention.
Right.
Hey, this is a
You
little
were getting
odd.
stuck with underwriting deals. You were getting stuck with this. There were more obstacles being put in your way, this and that and whatever.
Sure.
I wasn't facing that.
Commissions were dropping.
Commissions were,
There's a trend in the life insurance sales. Commissions kept getting cut. And that's not only in life insurance,
no, commissions are getting cut right now,
all across.
all across. We own
So,
an insurance agency, and we just got several letters,
hit with a
our
letter.
commissions are dropping.
Yeah. So when do you and Joseph Fouché is the person that I had never heard of until Robert Greene talked about, but he was that master at
Right.
timing. He knew when to switch and jump on Napoleon's side, and when to jump on the revolutionary side, and when to be on the moderate. And so in life, I agree with what you're saying. In relationships, I mean, you come a little too late with those flowers or whatever to, somebody beat you to the punch. Didn't that happen to you once?
Yeah. Yeah. When I went out to a dance with your mother, and then, I liked her. So the following day, I came over and I asked her to go to the prom the very next day. And shortly after I left, another guy in the class came with flowers to ask her to go to the prom. And she was able to tell that gentleman, oh, you know what? I already said yes to Pablo.
She must have liked you though, because if not, she could have said,
Yeah.
told you, hey, sorry, you got another date.
And I didn't bring roses. I think I brought tulips. So, yeah, I didn't spend that much money on her.
I remember you saying like the next day
Yeah, the
after
next
the
day
dance,
or later on that day,
but prom was not till
they were months away.
months away, so you were ahead of the
I
game.
beat him to the punch.
So yeah, it's so
It's
important.
crazy timing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think and also knowing when to be patient, never seem to be in a hurry. There's some people that I've met in business that it seems that they have such control of their time. When you see somebody show up to an appointment or something and they're like, they're running late or they're barely on time and they're getting out and they're rushing, I don't see that person as having any control. That's not somebody who I think possesses power, in my opinion.
It's not, because they're being controlled by outside forces. But you know how difficult it is to be able to do what you're saying, and be able to be calm in a sea of turmoil. I mean, it's difficult.
Discipline.
Well, and also it depends where you are. For example, we always bring this up. I'm 65 years old now, okay? And I own an insurance agency. It's been around for a long time. My commissions are being dropped. I don't have the luxury of changing ship like you did. I'm riding that ship out.
I would debate it. I would debate that.
Okay, well, we
Yeah.
can debate that all day long.
Yeah. Because
And
there are,
we'll have a debate for a year
yeah.
and two
Because
years.
if,
And
you tell me all the time, if you believe that you don't have that luxury, you're right. But if you believe you do have that luxury, you're also right.
right,
If you already in your head feel you're trapped, you can't get out of a situation, you're correct.
I don't feel trapped. I feel that because I have staff that depend on me, and this is a very difficult time for a lot of insurance people because we're in insurance, but you and I are in the real estate business.
Right.
Okay. In the real estate business is a little bit differently.
Also a challenging time where commissions are being challenged also on
You're
the buyer
absolutely
side.
right. We make our own economy in the real estate business as we do in the insurance business.
All industries are changing.
So in the insurance business, as the commissions are coming down, go out and write more business.
Same
That's
with
what,
real estate.
same with
Someone
real
told me the
estate.
other day that we know very well, feels like I'm working double to make the same.
It and
That's the reality
that's of today.
of an industry that will constantly be changing,
Right.
and we have to adapt.
Right.
But I hear what you're saying.
I'm writing that
I'm,
ship out.
I'm being the devil's
I'm not,
advocate.
yeah, I'm writing that ship out
Yeah, it would be
because,
very difficult.
well, fortunately, we're stable.
Yeah,
Okay. We don't depend on one source of income. And so if you're able to write it out, you think it's going to get better. The
yeah,
idea is that it's hopefully going to get better than what it is today.
yeah. I mean, I think not having all your eggs in one basket is important
Hmm.
when you get to that a point when you're able to do that.
But you said also many people are pot committed. You're
Yeah,
looking at one of them.
yeah,
It's very difficult to get out because you have children,
yeah.
all you guys are grown up, but what if you have children? You have them in private schools or whatever, and
Mortgages, pay
mortgages,
debts, and yeah,
debts, and in
I
fact,
hear
I
you.
was reading an article just yesterday that I want to say the right thing, but it's a huge number, something like 62% of Americans. We have the largest debt apparently in history right now. It's over $1 trillion in debt,
Yeah,
and they're breaking it up into card debt, credit card debt, 19% interest.
more. You could be in the 20s.
I just got a letter from one of the major banks. I'm not gonna say who. Um, on one of my lines of credit, okay, they're raising it 2 percentage points this week. What's today's date? Um,
The 11th.
the March 11th, 2024.
Yeah,
So I have good credit, and yet on that line of credit, my interest rate will be 9.125.
yeah. I mean, it's a variable line of
Yes,
credit, and
correct.
yeah. But yeah, that's what happens when you have variable and when rates go up.
So if you owe 100 grand, that you
2%,
uh,
2% increase.
2% interest to 9.125.
And that's an interest only payment.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So what's that? That's over $9,000 a year in interest only.
Is it?
Yes, sir. So
Wow.
if you're not able to bring down that debt, you'll be paying that and potentially more if the rates continue to go up. And the letter is put forth very interestingly by saying, "Dear customer, we
Hmm.
are able to increase your annual increase is 2%. We're going to increase it 2%."
Yeah. Yeah, I think
And this is the beginning of the year. They increased it last year too. Because I remember when that line was at five something,
mm,
then it went to seven. Now it's
yeah,
so it's so the businesses that have these revolving lines of credit,
commercial loans.
commercial loans.
So timing is so important because when we look at like even 2007, 2008, a lot of people are comparing the current situation, the current market with those times. And look at the people that were ready to pounce when properties were selling at less than 50% what they were the year prior, or more than 50%,
Right, right.
of a drop. If it was selling for $500,000 and now it's selling in the threes
Yeah,
or twos,
it's
you have to be ready for that. And I think timing is extremely important. to be ready for that.
I think so too. And I think that I was listening to a guy very famous out of Florida. He has a big podcast, and he was saying that within his subscribers, and he's got a bunch, I mean, a million or something, he did a, what do you call it, an inquest?
Yeah,
And what came back is that 80% of Americans that bought post-pandemic regret it.
post pandemic. Interesting.
Yeah, something like 80, 86%, because, the prices were through the roof. Granted, the interest had not yet climbed so much, but it started climbing like in
Yeah,
22, and the people were still buying. And they said that a great deal of those, like 86% of those that bought during that window period, regret it.
interesting. Interesting.
Now, that's a inquest in his
It's a poll he
subscriber.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a polling
it's not a
among, it's not a national thing.
right.
But he
And he's out of Florida, so
he's out of Florida.
specific to that area. But no, I mean it's interesting. Um,
What's his name? Michael Bolderano or something like that.
Bordanero.
Bordanero, something like
Yeah,
that. He's good for
yeah.
those of you that wish to look him up.
Another thing I wanted to talk about was we believe in something called synchronicity. Now, did I looked up a little bit, and there's a gentleman by the name of Carl Jung,
Yeah,
which I believe he talks on this topic,
yeah.
synchronicity.
Hmm.
But the example that you've given to me often about the red car. You think about a red car, and all of a sudden you start seeing red cars.
Right.
It's a coincidence, he's saying, at least in the video, in the little clip that I was watching. But it does happen. And last week, timing, we said, let's go visit one of our friends, which is somebody that we've been in touch with for a long time and potentially to do business with. And
Yeah, incredible.
and it just so happens that when we went, the the gates were open, right? This is in a gated,
It's a gated
protected
community,
area,
and I didn't have the code,
and we didn't have the code, and
and we wanted to surprise her.
correct. And it's a friend that we go way back, but it
Oh,
just so
she taught
happens
you guys
we
at the Montessori level.
yeah,
She's known you guys for, yeah. Anyway,
so we were kids. But we show up and the gates are open
why?
because the gardeners were working
The
on it,
gardeners were working
the
there,
association.
and the gates were open.
The gates were,
Otherwise, we couldn't go beyond the gate because we didn't have the code.
and then we get to her door and we're knocking, and she happens to walk right out
Walk right out through the garage.
through the garage and
We
sees
didn't
us.
see, not through the front door where we were.
Yeah,
All of a sudden, I turn around and I see her walking.
yeah. And she was what? How'd you guys? Because, but it just, to me, it's synchronicity, it's timing. Sometimes maybe it's just luck.
Well, we couldn't have planned it better
It's
because,
just chance.
and we had bought some uh, Portos cookies and stuff.
Yeah.
Not cookies, but
Oh, little goodies. Yeah,
goodies for her,
yeah.
and she loves them. And she was
Pastries.
she was going to work, so it was a short but effective, extremely effective meeting because we just dropped by, say hello, give her some goodies,
But had we showed up 5 minutes later, she would have been gone,
or yes,
right?
she was leaving.
And or had I had gone to the bathroom before, it took a little extra long. And that's sometimes in life, timing.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's some people that are actively in the dating game, and sometimes they can um try to, force things to be at a certain pace, and it could be a guy or a girl doing it. And you have to be patient sometimes with things. Sometimes, I mean, I believe in fate and destiny, and that's how your parents met, by just timing and fate and destiny. But sometimes if we aren't patient, we're in a hurry, we're trying to, you can't make a, what is it, a circle fit into a square peg. And I think that goes with timing and being patient, and the right person will come, you know. And same thing goes with business and deals. The right deal will come. Sometimes we need to be patient. I've been sometimes not very patient to want to make things happen in business, and it doesn't always work that way, you know. Things take time to develop
Sometimes.
sometimes.
And then sometimes things just fall right in place, like if all the stars are aligned and boom.
Yeah,
Um, but synchronicity, the art of timing. I mean, this law, for the first time in all of our reviews, so that the viewers know, we picked the same law.
yeah,
Because up to now, we do independent research of each other, and you do your own thing, I do mine. Then when we come here, I think that's part of what some of the folks like is that it's relaxed conversation between a father and a son, impromptu. There's
yeah.
no fake. I take notes. I learn something new every day. Um, but the art of timing is incredible. But synchronicity, there's something out there about that because I know that many times in my agency, I walk in and I talk to my staff or whatever, and in the process of reviewing a few things, either I or somebody else says, "Hey, have you heard from Mrs. So and so or Mr. So and so?" And they're kind of like troublemakers. No, 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 we haven't. Please don't say anything. And I kid you not, 40 minutes later, 2 hours later, they end up calling the office.
Yeah.
You know? So I hear a lot of people that are, uh, you know, uh, not suspicious, but what's the word?
Superstitious.
Superstitious. They say, hey, don't jinx me. Don't say this, don't say that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different than the red card theory.
Chance is just is it possible that you somehow, by thinking of this person, you send something out to the
To the
universe,
universe,
right?
and now we're
And
getting
they
into
got
the.
they got that a little notice.
It's interesting.
Their ears were ringing. Where does that saying
I'm
come
telling
from?
you, this has happened many times. Or we're talking about somebody, and then we finish the meeting, and 30 minutes later, they're knocking on the front door. They're
Hmm.
coming in to make a payment, whatever the case, but it's the person that we had talked
It
about.
happens.
It
It's
happened.
chance.
It's chance.
But is there anything else to it?
I got a feeling there's something else to
Yeah.
it that we
Like,
don't have the capacity to comprehend at this level, you know?
yeah. Like when you say, and we know some people that we say, that's a lucky person.
Right.
So are they just somehow in sync more with the universe, and their timing is just unexplainably really good? Is that what it is?
Well, I think you get lucky if you are in the arena
Sure.
playing.
The vicinity.
Yeah. If
the
you're
uh,
sitting in the bleachers and you're a spectator, there's less of a chance of getting lucky.
yeah.
I think if you're in the arena and you're playing the game, you know, you get lucky, right?
Yeah.
You get better, you have additional skills,
You got to
you're
play to win.
implementing action, you got to play to win, all that good stuff, right? So I have a feeling that being in the arena, like they say,
But
the
some
harder I
people
work, the luckier I get.
yes, but some people just seem to have something extra,
You're right.
which I don't know that we can explain, but
But
maybe they go off of their gut, maybe their instincts.
their
They
instincts
just feel, hey, you know what? I mean, we've done it when we've gone and, gone gambling and different slot machines, and hey,
is
this
calling
machine,
me.
this machine's calling me, or this machine's a little cold or whatever. And we've gone with family and friends that seem to win often. What is it to it? Is it they're just playing a lot, or is it they have some gut that they trust?
Well,
So,
there's a lot of things that go into it. It's a soup. Okay, you
yeah.
put salt, you put pepper, you put vegetables, you do this. It's ingredients of soup. There's another thing that's extremely important to me that I think goes along with all this stuff, and that's momentum.
Okay.
Okay, like for example, you did something on the day that we met this person where the gardener's there and
Oh
the
yeah.
security gate was open. Um, we ended up seeing her. She comes out around the other side, so we were on her front door. We could have missed her, you know, but we didn't. And then you said, "Hey, the doors are opening up for us today,"
Yeah.
and that became the theme of that morning
Yeah.
as we went marketing.
And we went to another place
And we went to another place that's always closed,
and the gate was open.
and the gate was open.
Yeah.
Now, this is not baloney, guys.
Yeah.
This is,
What are the chances?
what are the chances? Now, the guy wasn't there, but the gate was open. Or maybe it's that on Mondays the gardeners are out in force and they're doing all their maintenance and this and that. And
Was that a Monday? I don't know if that was a Monday,
oh, I don't
but
know if it's a Monday. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
remember now.
I hear what you're saying, and
But that became the theme for the morning.
yeah,
And then when we got back in the car, you said, "Where do we go now?" Because today
what call do we need to make? Who do we need
all
to
the
reach
doors
out
are
to?
opening up for us today, Dad. Where do we head now? And we hit a bunch of spots
Yeah,
in
yeah.
our
So
marketing trail, right?
sometimes the timing is just perfect.
Unbelievable.
When you run into somebody, when you an opportunity, you know, but like you said, you have to be playing the game.
I think so. And momentum is very important. I remember um I forget if it might have been Donald Trump. He interviewed this developer in New York, and I think the developer had lost everything. And I don't remember, it was a businessman. And he went up to him and said, "What happened to you?" And the guy said, "You know what, Donald? I I lost my momentum. I lost my momentum. I was hitting 350, 300, and then all of a sudden I took my eye off the ball. And little by little things started happening, and when I realized it, I had come to a stop.
Interesting.
And then rolling that again from a dead stop is very difficult, you know?
Not impossible.
Not impossible, but he said, once you lose your momentum, and he put that, I think, in the art of the deal.
Mhm.
Okay. He says, don't lose your momentum.
Yeah, that is a big one. That is a big one. That's why going back to what I opened with, selling a business and starting from scratch on a new one, um,
So difficult to do, though,
you lose
Mike.
your momentum. You have to start from scratch. That's the reality of it. And sometimes in life, you start. I mean, look at the Law 41, which was the law we did prior to
Mm-hmm.
this review, talked about being at ground zero. And if you're not at ground zero, it talked about psychologically putting yourself at ground zero. Um, Sometimes momentum can work against you because you think that everything you touch is gold, turns gold. So you need
Yeah.
people around you. I've heard this, and I do believe it, that can tell you, that actually know who you are and can tell you, hey, you know what you're doing there is not right, because sometimes you begin to think, like Marcus Aurelius had somebody whispering in his ear he was mortal, right? You have to have people around you that are letting you know, hey, you're not that good. You're not that perfect.
Well,
You're not perfect.
and people will, it takes a lot of guts to do that.
To have those people around, or
No, it takes a lot of guts on behalf of those people to tell somebody that everything supposedly that they touch is gold, turns to gold, to tell them, hey, keep your feet on the ground, stay stable,
it's
stay
usually
grounded.
a family member that really cares. Like your mom doesn't care,
Uh-huh.
so they'll tell you, right? I mean, your mom, your dad, maybe they don't care everything you've, let's say,
Accomplished,
the wealth you've accomplished. They care who you are as a person.
you hope,
You would hope, and so that person can tell you, a sibling or a friend that goes way back.
way back.
So that's important. Or you have some checks and balances yourself. Maybe you don't need those people, but you have some process. Maybe you don't have the luxury of having those family members in your life. Like we were talking about, my your mom, my grandma was an orphan at 12 years old. She didn't have the luxury of
No.
having a father, a mother, a grandparent, somebody that would say, hey, you know what, that's not the right thing to do. She had to learn the hard way.
Right.
And so sometimes in life, maybe they have people develop their own system of checks and balances. Bless you. Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
So, yeah, but
In
time,
fact, in the case of my mom, the person, when she became an orphan, the person that took her in inadvertently hurt her by making a decision. Um, I don't know if they thought they were hurting her at the time, but they took her from one location where my grandfather had um, registered her to a school that you were supposed to register that person like when they were born, and she had the ability, she had a seat on that school, but you needed to be within an area, and they moved her to another home upon my grandfather's death. And that ended up hurting my mother because she was not able to study and she had to go work at the age of 12.
yeah.
So, inadvertently, um, there was no, I don't think my mom had any resentment, but she was aware that by that happening, she was not able to go to that school. And
Yeah.
that's something that she missed. It's like if you give this to someone and then you take it away, all of a sudden the value of this potentially has increased tremendously because they had it and now you take it away from them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on, but momentum is extremely important. Playing the game is extremely important. The timing, you know, and I liked it because I didn't put it together that way in the car like you did. The minute we got in the car, you said, okay, where do we go now? Because, and you said it, you spoke it out to the universe. The doors are opening up for us today.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. How about if we have that attitude every day?
Yeah.
You know, the, this is a wonderful day. I got out of bed. I'm healthy. I can go and make my own future. Let's go and,
Mm-hmm.
the doors are opening up for us today just because of the fact that we were able to get out of bed.
Yes, but it takes action
Right.
because you the doors could be opening, but if you're not walking through them, if you're not knocking on them, if you're not taking that action, then you'll never know. So it does take physically, or for in business, it could be making calls, it could be whatever action needs to take place. You can't just expect it. We've always said it, I believe it. Business, it doesn't come to you in the office. You have to go out and get it.
That's
Now,
right.
there are some people that could argue that, but I believe that you have to go out and get it.
I think so too.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. 30 years ago, 40 years ago was a different story. We're not in the same
but
atmosphere.
even 30, 40 years ago, when you were starting your business and my mom,
I went out
you
and got it.
you had to go out. Somebody had to go out to get it.
Absolutely.
Could you have gotten by mediocre without? Maybe. But the
There
people
wasn't
that,
as much competition as there is today. Today, the competition is fierce,
yeah,
which forces you to be a better ball player.
yeah,
You got to get out there and you got to hone those skills and
stay in
become
front
the
of people.
best third baseman possible,
Mm-hmm.
the best pitcher possible,
Yep.
because there's a lot of competition out there. So, what's going
Absolutely.
to set you apart from the competition? That's the kind of stuff that you need to look at. Patrick, but David is good at that. He just had a picture taken with Dana White and Trump and whatever. So he's reached the echelon of very high elite, where God willing, he's going to remember his roots and do good things for all of us in America and thereby the world. You know,
Hmm.
you get to a point where some of your decision, don't don't get too caught up in your own self and you know try to see it. Sometimes it's difficult at those levels, to make what you believe is the right decision
Yeah.
when you're dealing with politics and international affairs and all the webs that have been weaved prior to you getting there. It reminds me of that Gordian knot with Alexander. Nobody could you know, twist it. And he got his sword and he said, "Nah, I'm not gonna play by the same rules. This is, you know, it's
Yeah.
crazy." But timing,
We have a finite amount of time and we got to do the best with it and try and use timing to our advantage. So, yeah, we both happen to pick the same law today.
that's crazy. Well, first time for everything, right? Yeah. And we're coming to an end on the
Yeah,
48 laws of power.
we're on law 40 starting we're going to be doing law 42 next week.
It's been very good to us. We've grown our subscribers, and now we have some subscribers that are saying, "Hey, pick another book." It'd be great if we could get ideas
Yeah,
from you
absolutely.
folks telling us
What book?
what book you'd like us to look at next, or what direction you want the podcast to go into. And we'd
Yeah.
love to get comments from you guys. And thank you for all your comments. Actually, quite many of them are very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.